Brands on Brands.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today we're talking about how to find your podcast niche. That's right, how to figure out what your podcast should be about to stand out. Check it out.
In a world where content is king and your reputation is your brand, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands, a home for those that think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here is your host, Brandon Birkmeyer.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Birkmeyer, your personal branding coach, and I believe that building a brand that matters today is the only way to thrive tomorrow. Appreciate you guys tuning in each week. This week, we're talking about how to figure out what your podcast should be about, how to niche it down in a way that really makes your show stand out. How do I then identify what that topic should be for you? Before that, if this is your first time tuning into the show, appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to go to brandsonbrands.com to check out our resources, our show content, and to sign up to get emails each week to let you know what's going on with the show and when our latest tips and resources come out. So appreciate you guys, and let's jump into the show.
Brands on Brands.
All right, let's dive in. So let's figure out for you, what's your show going to be about? This is a big question. A lot of people might have an initial idea of what this show could be, what they're good at. Should it be about their expertise? Should it be about something they're passionate about? Should it be purpose-driven? There's a lot of big questions out there that can help you start to narrow in on what that perfect podcast topic could be for you. And I have some frameworks, some questions you can ask yourself to help you get there to really feel confident about the topic you pick, because that topic is going to really help you identify yourself as you brand yourself in the future. So let's start very simple. For me, I like to go high level. If I ask you the question, what's your podcast going to be about? You might start to already have an answer. But let's take a step back. I'm going to ask 5 questions, and they're all W questions. It's the who, what, where, when, and how, right? So I'd like to start by saying, let's go with who first. If you had to picture the person that you know would really benefit from listening to this podcast, who is that person? Now, don't describe a generic audience in your mind. Come up with like one real person that you in your life know that you would be speaking to, that this show would be for. Now, that person, there's going to be a lot of people like them, and that can be what your audience in your mind is, right? Whoever it is should be benefiting in some way from that knowledge that they're getting, right? So picture that who. The second question is going to be what. What is the show about specifically? Like, what is the content? What are the topics that you want to be covering? That subject matter. What is that general few topics? Maybe you can list 3 to 5 topics that you think are going to become recurring things that you want to talk about over and over again. Now, I will say, if those topics tend to be completely different from each other, as you list them out, start to identify which of those topics that you've listed out are related to each other in a way that you can bundle one show around those group of topics. If one of the topics or 2 of the topics in the group seem to be disjointed or not connected or in the same subject matter as the other topics, I would set those aside for now as a category. Because for me, if you want to build a show that actually helps you stand out in your category, it does have to be related all in one subject matter. It cannot be a variety show unless you're building some entertainment show and you've got clout and you are an entertainer and that's good for you, go for it. This isn't that type of show. I'm helping you build an expert podcast that really ties into what your knowledge is and helps you bring that out and help other people, right? So your topics should be related to one general category. Now, that's the next question, which is like where. So who, what, where. Where is going to be, where can someone looking for your show find it, right? If they were going into Google and typing in something, what would they type in? Now, here is where you start to think more broadly, right? This is an episode about niching down, but we're going to start broad. We're going to start with the macro level view. What's the biggest category that is an umbrella over what your subject matter is, right? So for it's a little help on this, what I would do is go into a podcast app like the Apple Podcast app and look at what the categories are that they break shows into. So if you go to the browse section, typically you can see all the subjects, or if you look at their charts, you will see what all the subjects are that you can pick from. And, those are topics like business, finance, health and wellness, which one are you within? And then when you click on those, some of those have subcategories. Like within business, marketing is a subcategory. Entrepreneurship is a subcategory. Find, for yourself, which one of those categories most aligns with where your topics would fall. You do have to pick one. You can, the apps will let you pick 2 or 3, but for me, they should all be within a line of the same topic. So if it's marketing, it'll be marketing and business and maybe entrepreneurship, right? But your primary topic is going to be the one that really aligns with your niche. And again, when you look at that niche, it's still pretty broad. I wouldn't even call it a niche, but it is your subcategory or your category. Now that helps frame what all your content should make sense for, gives you some guide rails to work within. And that's where, when you had those subtopics that maybe didn't fit in, if they didn't align with this category, they don't fit in. So if you had a finance blog and then one of your topics is fitness or travel, they don't fit in. That's a separate show. It is confusing to your audience. It is confusing to the algorithms that show people where you are. Because when someone's typing in fitness, they don't want to find a travel podcast, for example. So keep that in mind. Pick a category, stick to it. Sure, you can pepper in some other topics that you're interested in when you're in the content, but that's not how you brand your show. They can bring in, you can talk about them in the show, but they're not things that you mention when you're describing your show to other people. So start with the category. So that's who, what, and where. Who's the show for? What are the topics that we're going to talk about? And where can we find it? If someone's actually searching for it, where are they going to find this show? The next is going to be when. And when is just you figuring out how often are you going to release this show? This matters because it's you committing to what you can regularly do on a consistent basis. Is this a weekly show? Is this a daily show? Is it biweekly? Is it monthly? What can you actually commit to? And do you expect to be recording every week? Or is this something that you want to do for a few weeks and then you want to take a few weeks off? What I'd recommend is you build something that you can do without stopping. So if you're going to do weekly, I want you to be able to do weekly 52 weeks a year. And if you need some help with that, that's a whole different lesson. But there are ways to do that where you can repurpose old content. You can take maybe a 1 or 2 week hiatus, but I wouldn't take more than that. If you're going monthly, you cannot stop. You cannot do 5 months and then take 5 months off. You have to deliver every month. Daily is a little bit of a different story. You can maybe do 5 days a week and then take 2 days off, right? Or you can go 3 days a week and just that's your cadence. But at the end of the day, pick a cadence that you can stick to so that people know every Monday, this is when I expect the content to come out on this show. That will help you set up what you know you have to deliver on when you're building the show later on. So that's who, what, where, when. And then the last is why. One of the most important things you can figure out is why, for you, this is an important topic. Why did you start the show in the first place? This is what's going to start to differentiate your show from other shows, because your approach to teaching the topic, your approach to asking questions of guests is all going to be related to why you started this show in the first place. Your unique perspective as to what's the most important thing people need to know and focus on when trying to succeed in the category that you are living within, right? And the why, I know, can be a question that trips a lot of people up. And you can start with the things like, you just had a passion for a topic and you wanted to start talking about it, that kind of thing. That's how I started. But your why, I think, really can come to fruition when you start to tap into the things that you believe in. And you may not be able to get there until you record a couple episodes and start to talk about those topics you're really passionate about. But here's one way to think about it. And this is going to be what we call the line in the sand. I didn't invent this. This is something that I've learned from other people, but I'm going to teach it to you guys today. Now, the line in the sand is you talking about what you believe within your category, right? Within your topic, what you believe is the most important thing that people can do to achieve the result that they are looking for. Now, This is not supposed to be a question that everyone would say yes to. They call it a line in the sand because you want people that would say, yes, they agree with that. And you want people to say, no, they don't agree with that. So here's an example of a line in the sand, right? If you are a fitness podcast, your line in the sand could be, I believe that managing your diet is the only way to consistently succeed at being well and fit, right? And there's going to be people that disagree with that, that say, well, no, it's not just diet, it's also food or whatever. The reason you're going to mention that's the most important thing, and that's your belief, is because it's going to draw the people to you that agree, that are ready to take on the mindset of focusing on nutrition. And it's going to send the people away that aren't really ready to take those steps, right? This is your line in the sand. Who is with me and who is against me, right? Another example of this for my show, I said, being a brand, building a brand that matters is the only way for a business to thrive. And the reason that, that line in the sand, what that creates is, on one side, it's, well, no, you can just build a business. You don't need to be known. You don't have to have a brand. Some people might disagree. And I'd say, yeah, you can disagree, but you're not for me. You're the people who are chasing like lowest cost marketing. You're the person who's trying to maybe build a product and not build the brand or the reputation of that. For me, you're going to be priced out of the market. That's my opinion. And the people that see that and agree with that are, might listen to the show and say, yeah, I'm with Brandon. He aligns with my vision that I need to think long-term about building a brand that doesn't compete on price. It competes on other qualities, right? So you have to define for you, what is it that you believe in that you think will bring success to your audience? The one main thing. And when you have that core belief, when you have that line in the sand, not only does it help your audience figure out, are you for them or not, it helps you continue to articulate in all of your content creation from here on out, what it is that you want the show to be about. What kind of guests you'll sign up and bring on the show, what kind of questions you'll ask those guests. And when you are bringing up topics of conversation and you're sharing your perspective, it helps you figure out what angle you want to take on presenting those topics, because nothing is new. No content topic is new anymore. But what is new is your perspective, your take. And when you come at it from that consistent point of view, using your line in the sand, you have a unique perspective that you can share with the world that is yours, that only you can have. That's what helps you start to build the brand that is your podcast. So third thing we want to talk about today to finish this lesson up is a lesson called Winter is Coming, right? Again, this is all stuff that is very prominent in the marketing world. I'm sharing it with you as a podcaster or a potential podcaster so that you can take advantage of these tried and true tools. What Winter is Coming is you creating the sense of why it is important right now that people listen to your lessons. What is happening in the world that makes this urgent? Why do they have to know now? Why do they have to take a stance now to start creating change? So here is an example, right? And Winter is Coming. A good one is the reason it's called that for me is for Game of Thrones, there was this plot tool that they used that, even though every show had its own theme and its own story, there was always this overarching theme across all seasons that winter is coming. What that meant was no matter what's happening, we have to prepare for what's going to happen in 3 months to 6 months. We're not sure when it's coming, but we know eventually if we're not prepared, this thing's going to take over and ruin us, right? And if you're not familiar with the show, another way to think about it is in your industry, whatever it is, there is something that if people don't do it, eventually they will not succeed. What is that for you in your industry, right? So for branding and marketing, I could say that everything, because of technology, is becoming a commodity. Jobs are being replaced, services are being replaced, and products are easy to rebuild because of how easy it is to have access to technology. And so you cannot just build a product or service, you have to build a brand, because if not, it's very easy for someone else to come in the market and replace you. So that winter is coming. The winter of commodities is coming, right? Eventually you will be commoditized out of the market. You will be taken over by a larger company that has more money to actually spend to acquire customers to drive you out of the market because you didn't build a brand that connects with an audience, right? That is my version of winter is coming. That is why branding to me is important to every business owner and to every individual person out there. What is that for you? If you're in the health and fitness space, what is it to you? You know, if we follow that old example of nutrition is what matters, what's winter is coming? Well, it's that eventually, like, you will get tired of trying to reach your goals, and not taking the stance on nutrition is going to break down your confidence in making this happen, and you will eventually give up. You know, there's that would be the winter is coming there in one example. So figure out that for you, why this is important right now for your audience. And you can get personal with it. Think of that one audience member and what is happening in their life that would make this important to them to start to take action on what your podcast is about today. Hopefully that's helped you guys think about it. You know, identify what category your show is in, who is it for, what are the topics you're going to cover, just 2 to 3 of them in total when you get to the end of it. When is it coming out consistently? And why are you starting this show? And then you can get into what makes it different, what you believe, and why is it important right now. If you can cover all those things, you're on your way to having success with this podcast. And stick around for the rest of the lessons. We're going to get into some more detail about how you can start to really mold this show into what it's supposed to be. Appreciate you guys listening as always, and keep on taking little steps each day to move forward, and you will continue to succeed in building that brand. Appreciate you, and I will catch you guys next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to help you build a brand that matters. Head over to brandsonbrands.com for resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandsonbrands.com.